So, for the purpose of YouTube, I am uploading this to YouTube. For the purpose of YouTube, this is the official start. You can't fucking beat Soul. I'll help you fucking beat Soul, I guess. This is for people who are newer to the game, of course. Like I said before, I'm not going to talk about Milia vs Soul. That is a massive talk when you go into that level of depth. But, there's a lot of general things you can know and do about fighting Soul. I am paying attention to the stream chat, but I won't answer too many questions while I'm talking about stuff, just because it's really easy for me to get distracted. Just like all of like the old lab streams and stuff. Let me bring up this handy dandy. Okay. Okay. So I should probably also do this. So I guess the first thing you would want to start with is, what does he do? Like, what does he like to do? Like, what is good about Soul? Right? Because some people, some people don't like the opinion that I have that I think he is extremely strong. I think that he's top tier, to be honest, or amongst that level. But like, why? Like, what is so good about him? Because he's a standard mid-range character, right? He's pretty straightforward in what he does. He's got good mid-range moves, but I think the more important thing that he could do that's a little bit more subtle is he actually is really good at controlling the pace of a match, especially if it's a match he's good in. So what I mean is, like, he has stuff that he can do that can he can speed up or slow the game down when he wants. For example, like, if he wants to slow the game down, he can immediately do that. Just him having 25 meter will slow the game down, because he will control all this space. Your character is literally slowed down, and he has a lot of time to see what you're doing or like move a certain way or whatever. So that's an example of him slowing the game down, right? But he could also speed the game up too. So by speeding the game up, it's usually when you see people do like this, like running around really fast, and you're not really sure what he's doing, because a lot of the stuff he does has no recovery, and then all of a sudden he slows down the game, and then, right? So it makes it kind of accents him trying to get to his best position. Main big point number 2 is, like, he not only is good at speeding up and slowing the game down and playing at mid-range, but he also really likes big hits. He has a lot of stuff that gives him big return, on a counter hit or trade. So the obvious one, whoops, it's not that move, it's that move. Oh, that was counter hit. Whoops, Milia's too good. Milia's too good, man, I'm telling you. It'll only take me a few tries to do this. This happens all the time in matches, but I can't get it to work now. Milia, please. Milia, please. There's a world where I could do this. Okay, let's do something easier. This should be easier. or even counter hit aside, honestly. If he does, like, I should probably just set it to counter hit. I want to do this the easiest way, okay? Where's the counter? There we go. Yeah. Even if I don't play him, like, look at my baby ass combo. I know it's Milia, but that is yeah, I was trying to trade, but I gave up. Counter hit would be the same point anyway. So like, that baby ass combo did like how much damage? Like, what is that? 50? Just above 50? Guts aside, we'll say like 50% just off that. I don't. So that's off a counter hit. He likes counter hits and he likes trades a lot. He gets a really high return off those. And the third big point about what he does and how he likes to operate, this is kind of just like a player thing more than like it kind of has to do with him too. Even though his tool set is pretty simple, like I said, he's just like he's your standard mid-range character. He's pretty open-ended, despite that, and a lot of people play him, so it is not enough to just play a couple of good souls and think like, oh, you're good, because you're not going to be good. You actually have to play against this character a lot, and I guess a lot of people who play him, because people have different tendencies on how to use his moveset. So you would have to play a lot of people who play him, and at all different skill levels. Like, some people try to be really solid, some people will be really random, some people will try to force trades all day, some people will try to really force themselves on you, some people will dice roll a lot. I said random, pretty much the same thing. So it all depends. It all depends on who you play too. So it's really important, if you are trying to get better at this game, that you not only learn how to beat Soul, but you play a bunch of people who play Soul, so that you become really solid and stable against the character. Okay. Okay, so let me change my buttons a little bit so that I can... I talked about this once upon a time, but round start, when we talked about labbing round start before, it's not that hard to do. Whoops, except when you can't do it. Okay, I think I kind of did it. So I would definitely, if I were you, lab out your round starts against him. You don't, I mean, this will be the same for every matchup, but if you do this properly, you can see whether or not you win, lose, or like are even at round start. And if you win, that's kind of like a big advantage. Like, you're pretty much starting every round at an advantage, which is nice. I have Milia here. I think Milia versus Soul at round start is even. So usually the stuff he likes to do, this is the most common thing you want to check for, like how you beat this, because it's fast, it goes really far. Other things he might do sweep, but it's not that common. 2S is mildly common, and maybe if they're more random, they might do like Bandit Revolver or Fafnir or something, but it's just worth checking just to make sure. Also 6P2 is one you might want to check for too. I do also want to say as an aside, if you don't have to check like how to beat people's backdashes and stuff, because if you think about it, depending on what you're doing at round start, let's say I have him do not that, like that, right? So if I do like 2P round start and he backdashes, pretty much nothing happens, right? So if you don't have to spend time checking how to beat people's jump back or backdash or something, because as long as your whatever your option set is, as long as it's not like something super high commit, like if I did like that or something, that's not really a good example of something you'd want to do. But something like far slash, if I whip my far slash and he backdashes, we're pretty much even. Same as stuff when like take for instance, if they like doing like that, like a dash 2D, that's a hard call on their part because they're moving towards you. So in the same way, like, you don't have to really check for that kind of thing unless you're doing something that's high commit, or I should say, you have something that's high commit in your option set. Right. But just for review, the ones you really want to check is this, far slash, 2S, 2D, 6P, and Bandit Revolver, just for the wild ones. Okay. If you want to see what Milia does, just as a reference. Oh, whoops. There we go. You can't actually, I don't actually try to beat that. First of all, because it beats like all my shit. Same with 6P, like nothing really happens when he does 6P. Oops. Got off CP2, right? And then right, so she's pretty safe, but like I have to guess if I want to beat the other stuff. So you want to check for your character. Whoops. Yeah, so you want to do that for your character. If you play Milia, then I saved you a little time just now. But if you don't play Milia, check to see what you could do with your character there. Just for a quick review, you do it by hitting record and a blitz macro at the same time. And then when you want to play, you do a play and blitz macro at the same time. Okay. Okie doke. Any questions so far? I have only moderately been looking at the stream chat. Grand Viper round start? That's a hard call, man. I'm gonna change the song too. His old song's way better. His old song's way better. Keep yourself alive too. Why did they take that out of the game, man? I have like no options here. I guess I'll do Noontide. Yeah, round start Grand Viper is a mega hard call. Okay. So I'm going to talk about neutral a little bit. So like we said before, he's a mid-range character at his core. He's a mid-range character, right? He has a lot. He presents a pretty interesting problem for characters. He has a lot of fast moves with really good hitboxes, and some of them are pretty hard to deal with if you don't actually have a counter for them. So, for example, I remember when I started playing this game, this is definitely like the first couple months of Xrd Sign on console. I could not fucking beat that move. I had no idea how to deal with this move. And it has a lot of good points to it too. Like, it's fast, it's 7-frame startup, it's pretty fast for a sweep. The big one is it goes under shit. It goes under a lot of shit. It goes under a lot of shit. And of course, like I said before, on counter hit, my little baby combo on counter hit. Again, it's a million, so it's exaggerated, but the return is high, and someone who plays Soul will actually do a good combo. Like, they'll do a combo, they'll milk that counter hit. It's pretty tough to deal with, but it's not really invincible. So this move, this 2D, I'll turn off counter hit too. The big issue is it has a lot of recovery on whiff. That's probably the main weakness, is it has a lot of recovery on whiff. That's why you'll see it at high level, but not as aggressively as at lower levels, you know? Because, for example, if this whiffs, Millie has a bunch of ways she can beat it specifically. You can whiff punish it with whatever you want. Oh, maybe not that move, but definitely that move. That sucks. And he gets knocked down and he'll die if he misses that, so that's a big deal. You might think it's kind of hard, but if you consider how many active frames it has 3 active frames. You have 23 frames to punish that move if he misses it, so that's actually a long time. Just being able to punish this move consistently, or relatively consistently, will help you against him, because that's a pretty dominating move if you can't deal with it. Something else you might be able to do outside of whiff punishing, you could try to low crush. Not all characters have this, so that is going over it. Milia's, of course, is very good at this. Not all characters can do this, but some of you might have a character that could do this too. And then finally, if you have a fast low, you could try to hit the startup. It's pretty fast. It's 7 frames, but whoops, I gotta be closer. Yeah, there you go. If you have a fast low, you could try to just tag him. Usually how it works out in matches for me is like I kind of just run at him and do it. Or like I just kind of, either that or I go for the dash 2K. So you might want to check with your character and see which one is easiest for you. It could be the case that he doesn't use this move against you at all, but it's good to know anyway, right? Okay, what's next? Far Slash, the one we talked about before. Okay, this one is tough too. It's just as fast as Sweep, 7 frames, and it's pretty good at mid-range control. Like, it hits from round start, so you know that's really far. And on top of that, he actually gets really big return if he has meter. I'll go into this a little bit more later, but oh, whoops, I guess. What did they do? Like, I don't play him, but into some stuff that does a lot of damage. There's probably actually definitely way more optimal stuff than that. But the main point is, when he has 50, that move becomes a lot more dangerous. But, just like any move, right, it has some flaws. So, the first is, of course, just like 2D, it has a lot of recovery. It actually has 23 frames recovery, which is longer than 2D, so you have more time to whip punish it. And the big thing, probably one of the biggest points about it hitting you, is he doesn't actually get anything without meter. Like, typically, and this is going into kind of what to do about this move when he uses it in neutral. Typically, when he doesn't have meter, he must do something, essentially. He has to do some option here. Because he can't just do this on guard, right? So he can't just do, because it's really negative. So usually what ends up happening, if he doesn't have meter, he will use some option here. So for example, he could do Gunflame, he could do that, he could do that, he could do, you see this a ton. There's a lot of things he could do here. But technically, none of this is actually safe. You might have to look for an answer for your character, but if you can do something that keeps you safe from all the options, or at least like not having to dice roll with him, then that move becomes a lot less scary when he doesn't have 50 meter. So for example, like let's say I'm Milia. So I mean, I'm not let's say I actually am Milia. And then put it like I don't know. So it's neutral. Whoops, I didn't hit P. Do it a couple more times. Too bad you can't do that though. So you get the point, right? So even though he has all those options, because he does actually have a lot of stuff he can do, he actually he can't really force anything on you. So really the scariest time is when he has 50 meter. So I'll step back and say, when he does have 50 meter, you should be really cautious of Far Slash. Like, extra cautious of that move. So again, check with your character, see if you have something like that. So the whiff is safe-ish, but doesn't give him anything. Yeah, exactly. The whiff, it goes from... The blocking far slash goes from him being safe to... as far as him being safe-ish to... You can actually punish depending on what your character can do about it. As usual, Amelia is very privileged, and she's good at handling this kind of situation, but your character could probably do something too. For reference, by the way, he is minus 17 on block if he does far slash feint, if my math was correct, if I did this right. So that means minus 15 on FD, minus 19 on IB, and then minus 16 or 15 on stand hit crouch hit. If I'm wrong, tell me. But that should be the case. Far slash 2S should be minus 8 on normal guard, but it's super fast. Like you probably are not doing anything about that besides just getting out of there. If you ever like, and this is kind of an aside, but if you ever go back and watch like some super highly, like some top level JP player against Soul, it's a really small point that doesn't look like anything, but when they block far slash, they will definitely do something. They do something there. So go take a look at that if you want. Okay. So next on the list, this is another. So actually, going back, like 2D gave me a lot of problems. Far slash wasn't such a big deal, but this next move, like, drove me nuts for about a month and a half. It's 2 slash. This move, so disclaimer, you might not have an answer for that move. You really might not have an answer for that move. But let's talk about 2 slash. So obviously, as you can tell, this move is fast as fuck. Super quick. So obviously, it makes for really good mid-range control. And to be honest, it's really hard to discourage him from doing this move. Like, it's fast, low recovery. That's the big thing. A lot of Soul's moves don't have recovery, but you cannot count on whiff punishing that. Well, he's just not blocking, right? Yeah, he's just not blocking. Yeah. Let's send him the block. Let's send him the block. Like, honestly, you probably are not whiff punishing this at all. This move is ridiculously hard to whiff punish. I have to send him the crouch so that he actually blocks. You probably are just not. So it's different than his other moves where normally like, you could be like, oh, well, whatever, you know, I could just let him whiff and then punish. You probably can't whiff punish that move. So usually what ends up happening is if it's a match, it could be two things. It could be the case where, this is the Milia case, so he can do it pretty safely, but she has a hard counter to it. So if the Soul player sees the Milia player not trying to counter this move, they could just do it. If you see her doing it, then you can't do it a lot, but they can still do it. Or your character can not have an answer to that move, and he can just do it, which is a pain in the butt. Usually, the best way, if your character can deal with it, it's usually because they have a move that's all hitbox to hit him. So in my case, it's that. Right? You may not have a move like that. Disclaimer. But even with all the upsides, there is one benefit. One thing you don't have to worry about so much is that he gets nothing off this move. It's a really good button to press, but he can't really convert it randomly. It comes up in offense for sure, but like in offense when he's rushing you down, I'll talk about it later. 2S is really fucking scary, but in neutral, it's just to control that space. He can't convert it. So this is kind of a hitbox exploration thing that you'll have to do. Like I said, if you want to try to beat it, it's a good idea, because you don't want him doing that for free. And being able to discourage him from doing it is very nice. So you'll have to definitely check to see if you can beat that move. That move is important to beat, if you can. Okay. Gun Flame. This is a biggie. We talked about this a little bit at the start. Gunflame. So like I said before, this move slows down the game when he does it. Not so much when he just throws it out, but when he has 25 meter, it's pretty drastic. Really high return on counter hit. I don't even know what kind of nonsense they can hit you with if they hit you counter hit with that, but it's bad news. And this is if you trade with this, it sucks too. That happens a lot. Maybe I could get it this time. Maybe I won't get it this time. Maybe I definitely won't get it this time. There we go. There we go. Yeah, that can happen, and that sucks. That sucks a lot when that happens. So it's very, very favorable on trade, and it goes pretty far too. It's not full screen, but it's enough. Especially combined with the slowdown, it's enough. He has a lot of advantage there. Okay, so weaknesses, of course. This will be an exaggerated version, but he's counter hit pretty much for the duration of the move. So if you have a good way to beat it, a lot of characters you just air dash over or something. Millia has an easy answer, privilege, but most characters could just kind of get over that with an air dash or something. And it's good to know too, the duration is long also. It's 50 frames total. So you have whatever you decide to do. Whatever you decide to do, it should... Oh man, fucking jump these ass. Oh shit. You should have a lot of time to do whatever you want to use to beat that. And also the startup is slow too, so even though it's good on trade, if you get there fast enough, he won't get the move out. It's 20 frame startup, so it's pretty slow. For projectiles, quite slow actually. The big thing here though, the big thing here though, pros and cons aside, is when this dude, this is a slightly beyond beginner. This is kind of like an intermediate thing to consider. I guess, I mean, this whole thing is intermediate-ish, but... Does air dashing over it work if he wire sees? If you air dash over it and he wire sees, you are fucked. Quite simply, like, you are a sitting duck. When he has 25 meter, this is why meter is really important. When he has 25, you cannot move as freely against him, because it's not just that he has Gunflame, but that he could do Gunflame YRC, and if you are doing, like, things that normally are not so risky become a lot riskier. Like, even just air dashing, which is, to be honest, it's not super great against Soul. When he has YRC, he has, not only does he have all day to confirm what you're doing, but he could just pretty much pick whatever way he wants to punish you. It's bad. So you have to be very careful. You've definitely heard, if you're like a regular on this stream, you've definitely seen me play against Soul, and sometimes I'm just like, neither of us are doing anything, but I kind of drop something like, a line like, oh wow, I can't do anything right now, because he has like 50 or 75 meter. It's usually because I'm so scared of Gunflame, and rightfully so, because again, if he hits me, it's a lot of damage. If he does YRC and I'm in a bad spot, I'm air thrown or worse. And if I do nothing, he doesn't get a free approach, but he gets screen control. I don't want to call it a free approach because it's not really. Like, Gunflame YRC is one of those YRCs that, if they do it from full screen, like if they do it from there, what does that do? That doesn't do anything. But if they do it from here, it's much more intimidating. I don't want to be near there, and I will be moving away from him, which gives him more screen control, which is not favorable for me. So it's important to pay attention to that meter point. If they're being liberal with Gunflame without 25 meter, then you can use the appropriate counter, though. Okay. Just cruising along. There's a couple of more. What is there? 3 more moves before I take another short break. Okay. I mean, since we've gone through a lot of moves, I'm pretty sure people are having an idea of what moves are left. Technically, I should do 4, but oh, I forgot to. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, technically it's 4. I'll talk about 4 actually. So next is of course Fafnir, Fafnir. Woo, Fafnir, okay. Fafnir, so that move is pretty fast for what it is. It's quite fast. It's 18 frames, plus on block, pretty good screen control, he travels really far. Massive return on trade, if I could get a trade, but I won't get one. Counter hit sucks too, though. You don't want to get counter hit by that move. Counter hit or trade are both bad. Not only is it attack level 4, so he has a lot of time to convert, but it also has that special tumble. He has a lot of time to hit him from that move. It's just good on hit in general. A couple of things though. First of all, the main thing as far as neutral, we'll talk about Fafnir more later as an offensive tool, like him using it to rush you down. But the big thing is, I said it was relatively fast, it was 18 frames, but there is a big flaw in this move, in that basically, so when he's coming at you like this, when he's coming at you full stop like that, there is no hitbox while he's moving at you, and this goes for any move like this in the game, because there's a few moves like this that are kind of like coming at you like that and then they hit you with something hard. So during this time, he can be hit with pretty much whatever. So in the Milia matchup, at least, what usually ends up happening is you sometimes see Milia players just kind of whiffing 5p at around this range or something. So that's usually because it's also not only just to confirm situations, but it'll beat this move for free, ultra free. He has to actually get to you. So it's actually, if you preempt properly, it's not that hard to deal with. Now, I've said this many times, my character is privileged and I have a huge fast move that deals with it pretty well. But check to see what your character can do. You don't want to do something that has a lot of recovery to beat this move, because if you do it a little bit too late, you are in trouble. Characters like, I'm pretty sure Alpha can 5k that, Johnny can definitely 5k that. Just check to see what your character can do to beat it. If it's a thing that he uses in the matchup against you, then you definitely do not want him to just be running around and throwing this move out. Okay, next, now we're getting into some like tough stuff. Okay, I will mention this move and then go back to the notes I took. Okay, so I forgot to actually write down 6p stuff, but 6p is actually, it can be important. This is a kind of matchup dependent thing. Like, you don't see this move a ton in the Milia matchup, but for example, you will see it against Kai. It's good against Kai. I'll switch to Kai real quick just to show why. But also Noontide will be pretty fitting. 6p, that is an upper body. Is it just upper body? Let me take a quick look. This is why I took notes beforehand, so I wouldn't have to keep going to gun frame. Just give me a second. I don't want to say the wrong thing. It has both, so it has upper body and above the knee. It's above the knee at one point too, so it has a ton of invul to work with. Let me see if I did this right. If I did this right. Oops. There you go. It should work from farther. It should work from like max range, to be honest. There you go. So if you get counter hit by that, that sucks. So if this move is a problem for your character, you definitely want to make sure you have a counter for it. It does lose to lows, so it's upper body invo from 1 to 7, 12 to 19. No, whoa, I'm reading this wrong. 1 to 7 and 12 to 19, and then 8 to 11 is above the knee. He can use this as a counter poke. He can use it as a preemptive move. It's just really good versus mids in general. So if you need to think about beating that move, because again, like all his other counter hits, he gets really big return. You can hit that move with lows, like sweeps, long-reaching lows. Like Sin 2S will beat that. Milia's sweep will beat that. So just keep that in mind. Unfortunately, I forgot to write notes about 6P because I was thinking a little bit too much about Milia when I made when I did the outline. That's my fault though. Anyway, next. It has to be Jump H. Jump H to God. This move is ridiculous to say the least. This move, how hard this move is to deal with for your character, definitely makes a big portion of the matchup. Really good hitbox, literally no recovery, and it reaches really low too. So depending on what kind of anti-air you have, you might not be able to hit it a normal way. So there's a couple of things to think about for this move. Firstly is stuff like this that people like to do. So when Soul players do that, it's usually because they are kind of fishing for something, for you to do something. Like if I jump into it, you could like combo with DP, it's pretty easy. And if you don't take the, if you don't bite, they can retreat really easily because there's no recovery. If you have a way to stop this, usually if it's especially if your character is kind of fast, if they whiff, you can definitely aim to punish that. Milia's pretty fast, so she can do it without much difficulty, except when she can't. The move has one important flaw, actually. One counter thing you could do. I mean, if your anti-air isn't super good, some characters just have anti-airs that could beat it. But from around, like, it's a little hard to say, but poor 5P. There it is. He reaches, if you look at the move, it pretty much, the hitbox is what it looks like, mostly. So you see him shoving the sword, like, down between his legs. So you can hit either side of him. The only part at the hitbox is the sword itself. So if you run into situations where, let's say, this point I've been working on personally for like the past week or so, because this situation comes up a lot for me in my matches against him. Like something like that will happen, where like they thought I was gonna jump, then they do something, and then that happens. And let's say I try to anti-air. Maybe I win, maybe I lose, maybe I trade. Like I lost there. Like it's like what's going on. The actual best way to deal with this would be to move to a spot where you can hit him, where you can hit the hurt box. It could be a little tough with Milia. It's hard to show with Milia, but because I can't get to the spot. But there's a big hurt box in front and behind him, but it's above the sword, so you have to aim for that. You want to pay attention to his air options in general when he's doing this, because essentially, since it has no recovery, it's like part of his jump. It's like he has a hitbox as a part of his jump. So, like the same way he can like move and delay air dash, he can do the same with the normal. It's actually pretty crazy how quickly he can move after it. So if you pay attention to his air options, then you can limit this. He has a lot of stuff to change his air mobility though. Like he has dive kick, he can just fall, he can double jump. When he has meter, of course, he could do the dive kick into wire C, so you want to pay attention to that too. But putting all those together will make it easier to deal with that move, because you don't want him just doing that for free. You don't want him thinking, oh, I can run around and hit this button. That's kind of Guilty Gear in a nutshell, but but it will help you a lot if you could hit this move. For sure, for sure, for sure. And last but not least, I say this move for last. It'll be pretty obvious once I say what move it is. It is actually 5K, because they're nerfing 5K, right? Because it's getting slower, so I don't know how much it will affect his anti-air game, but it is a really fucking good anti-air. It's probably the main reason you can't just air dash at him freely. And it supports, the big thing about it is that it supports other moves. So for example, let's say he's whipping this over and over, and you're like, man, fuck that, I'm gonna air dash over it because he's just whipping this move. The moment he jumps, or he sees you jump, he just 5K. This happens a lot. You see this a lot too. Even 2D with all its recovery, he'll still go for 5K after. It keeps you pretty honest. He can use it in the ground too, so the big way they do it is they will look, a lot of Soul players will, I ran way too deep. Really a backdash. There we go. Yeah, they'll use it to try to catch your backdash and stuff. So if you see them using it like that, of course you could just hit him out of his run. That's kind of a footsie, holding your ground kind of thing. But if you notice them doing that, you could definitely sweep them or just tag them out of the run. Outside of that, you won't see them use it unless you're in the air. But okay. Any questions? That was a lot. That was a lot more than the round start and intro to Soul. Any questions? I talked about a lot of shit just now. Yeah, apparently it's 5 frame startup in Rev 2. I don't know if it'll affect his anti-air game. It might affect his offense/defense some. Definitely defense actually, because he could get out of stuff with that move that no one else could. Yeah, if you have any questions about anything I just talked about, that was a lot. That was a lot. Meanwhile, I'll change the song to something else. Will this be archived on YouTube? It will be archived on YouTube, yes. You can punish Banner Revolver with a throw of you, I'd be right. Yes, but that's not what I just talked about. I would prefer to keep the questions to what I just talked about. We're kind of going to that part next, but I'll go somewhere dark. Does he have, what's his Isuka? Is it true netplay is better than PC? Please keep questions to what I just talked about. The random questions can come later. Sheep Will Sleep is really his theme? This one's better anyway. Okay, I guess I will just move on. Is it? It is the Japanese version. It is the Japanese version. Oh man. Okay. Okay. I'll just keep going. I'll go to the next section. Would it be practical to IB air throw jump H? It has no recovery though. It like you could try IBing the second hit of jump H. I mean this is kind of a defensive side, but usually just because there's no recovery, it doesn't do much. His normals do get changed in Dragon Install. I'm not really going to talk about Dragon Install because it's mostly an esoteric. Alright, I'm going to move on. I should probably do all questions at the end. This was a bad idea. I just learned me something. Okay. So next up is this is the fun part. So when you play a fighting game, right? We're going a little bit into kind of about fighting games for a sec. So when you go into a fighting game and you're learning, usually like you learn your character shit, so like you learn your B&Bs, you learn some B&B stuff, like oh cool, I can't do B&Bs. And you learn about like how to fight neutral kinda, like you know this move is annoying, this is good, this is good. The thing that is hard, one of the hardest part about learning any fighting game is how to defend. That's the next part. I'm going to turn off the inputs. Actually, I should leave them on. I'll leave them on. How to defend, how to block Soul. What do you do when Soul is rushing you down? A wise man once said that Guilty Gear has no defensive options, so what is the point? But I disagree. There's a lot of stuff you can do, but it takes some research and maybe a helping hand. So I'm gonna go back to the original question. What does Soul do? But when he's rushing you down, what does he do? He can't really force mix-ups on you. So he's not a mix-up character. So let's say if Milia knocks you down, you are getting mixed up, right? Like, oh man, I can't hold all these mix-ups. Right? That's Milia. But when Soul knocks you down, that's not necessarily the case. Like, he has mix-ups, but he's not really a mix-up character. Like, he let's say, if we want to talk about Soul's quote-unquote win condition, it's not like Milia, her win condition is literally knock you down. Like, I knock you down and I do disc. I knock you down and I do Secret Garden. Soul doesn't have that. Instead, really what he does is he will use his Gatlings, because they're pretty open-ended. I'll go into this, what I mean by open-ended in the context of Rushdown in a little bit. He'll use his strings to enforce threats, and then he'll want to sneak in a poke throw. Poke throw is probably his most serious mix-up. He gets really high return off it. If he command grabs you or gets a successful hit or counter hit on you, you are taking damage. That sucks. So what do I mean when I say open-ended? So when I say open-ended, I mean there is a lot of flexibility in his offense. Even though his Gatlings aren't technically so good, the main thing is he has a lot of stuff that is plus on block, or has a lot of options, or can, going back to what I said before, slow down the game or reset pressure. So especially if you don't punish it. So for example, our favorite move 2S, this is plus on block. This is plus on block also. Gunflame YRC, of course, would reset the situation. A non-punished Bandit Revolver would reset the situation as well. The final thing that really does this for him is some of his Gatlings have really large cancel windows. So to kind of demonstrate this, for example, Milia has moves with really small cancel windows. So for example, you can't do, let's say, let's say I wanted to do like, so this two as 2H scaling, right? I can't do. Actually, I should do it with P. Yeah, that's actually better. If I delay it, actually 2S is probably better. I can't delay this. I have to do something relatively quickly here, right? But in the case of Soul, he has pretty large cancel windows. 2S would be an example of something not having a large cancel window, but it's plus. 6P is really, really big. Bigger than what most characters have. So he can use that to kind of enforce himself a little bit. So what do you do about all this stuff? So going back a little bit, when I actually started playing this game, I used to ask people, how do I defend against Soul? And I never really got a good answer. Wow, I said Close Slash was plus while looking at 2S at my notes. Close Slash is not plus. Close Slash is not plus. 2S is plus. I'm sorry. Anyway, yeah. I used to ask people, how do I defend against Soul? And they wouldn't really give me a good answer. But kind of where I've gotten to is, if you consider that the real threat is poke throw from him, because both have really high return, then the first thing you want to do is push him away from you so that he has to do something to get back in. So of course that would be, FD would be your best bet at this. So for example, like, if he does a string like, let's say he does that, look at the difference between how far he gets pushed back. It's really, really helpful. He'll have to dash farther, which gives you more time to hit a button or jump or something. Once he gets pushed out to here, it's not over. He can still do stuff, but his goal won't be specifically to hit you with... Like, he's not aiming to hit you, he's aiming to keep control and get back to here. In the end, he just wants to be here. When he's here, it's not the end of the world, but he can't do anything really to hurt you, really, from this distance. He's working on getting back in, and if he does hit you, it's like a benefit. Like, he's like, oh, I did it. Like, cool. So let's go into specifics a little bit. The general rule is you want to FD lights for sure, so that you can't be, let's say, oh, he can't even do that for me, right? You want to FD lights for sure. That is very helpful. It's hard to say what to FD specifically for this character. Usually, like, for most characters, I could say, oh, FD this, FD this, FD this. Soul, again, because this stuff is kind of open-ended, you have to consider just what kind of strings they like to do. So, you'll see, this is a common example. You'll see, like, people try to stagger a little bit, here. So that's a pretty common string from him. If you FD to that, he is in that range where he has to start working on resetting his position. Once he is at this range, you don't need to FD anymore, really. Here you're aiming usually to escape, or IB something to escape, or stop him from moving back in. When you're choosing what to do, so usually when he's out here, I should talk about him being out here for a little bit before I go back to point blank. When he's out here, there's a couple of ways he can get back in. Here are some common ways. This you can't really do anything about. The most you could do is try to jump. Quick aside, when you jump in this game, if you're choosing, like, I'm going to jump, you should try to super jump. because then they have to commit to beating your super jump. At least when you just jump, it's actually easier for your opponent to cover options and hit you than when you super jump. So as in, if you try to jump or air dash, it's actually much harder to catch a super jump than like an air dash or like a normal jump. Just saying. So Gunplay Marcy, you can't really do that much about, especially if they do it late. If they do it late, you are kind of in trouble. Fafnir you can hit. Again, it's 18 frames, so this move you can just tag. If they use this, they are probably trying to bait you out a little bit. The ideal would be to jump here. And since it's, let's say it's with Far Slash, it would be a really similar thing to what happened before. So you could make a decision to super jump, do whatever counter you do in neutral, that will help. Bandit Revolver, so with Bandit Revolver, you need to make sure whatever you do, because he is looking for just jump here. This will hit. Oh, whoops! I'm probably too far. Yeah. Oh, actually, that was perfect. As you can see, it hits pretty high. It hits pretty high, so if you super jump at that distance, so you're fine. But you want to make sure that they will use that to try to stop your jump, and if you FD, there'll be some extra block stuns, so just keep that in mind. Okay. So the tough part, this is actually the true tough part to me, is when he's mixing you up here, so with poke throw I'm saying. So to talk about like pokes or wild throw, he actually has a little bit more than that he could do, but it won't really come up except at really high levels. So the general that you will have to worry about if you are watching this video or this stream is like frame traps or wild throw. So this is going into a little bit of fighting game general knowledge, but something you should definitely learn to help you defend against this is fuzzy jump. I've talked about it on stream and explained it on the stream before, but I'll do it again. Okay, let's set a recording. Whoops. What do I do? Dash 2K. Okay. I will do it like this. Okay. I'll do it first, and then I'll explain it. Okay, so I set 3 recordings here. So 1, he will just command grab me outright. 2, he will actually I'll make it a little bit trickier. Let's make it a little bit trickier. Oh, I'll do the robot. Shouts to robot. No, for the sake of the explanation, I'll do like. Oops. Whoops. There we go. Did I do 2K here? I did 2K here, right? Oh, I did 2P. I gotta do it again. Oh, will it not work? Yeah, it won't work. Wow. The more you know. Whoops. Whoops. Wow, I'm actually pretty free. I am ridiculously free. There you go. I'll just do that with P. That should be fine. That should be fine. Okay, so I'll defend against it first, and then, oh, I should turn off the... There we go. Oh, that 2S does make it kind of tricky. His wild throw, by the way, is fast, super fast. Oh, I'm free. I made this really good. This is the hardest one I've made so far. Okay. Oops, I gotta let him down. Oh, the 2P miss. It's not meaty. The 2P missed. Let's make it a little tougher. The 2P missed. It wasn't meaty. Whoops. There you go. That should be good. Oh, he got me. He got me. He hasn't done the other one though. Ooh, there we go. Okay, so I'll do it a couple more times. Oof. Okay, so basically what is happening? So this takes advantage of a bunch of stuff. I'll try to explain it as easily as I can, but Fuzzy Jump takes advantage of a couple of system mechanics in the game revolving around throw protection. I didn't write the specifics, but because honestly you don't really need to know to be able to do it well. But when you wake up, you have throw protection. When you exit block stun and hit stun, you have throw protection. And soon, when you get up from the wall, you will also have throw protection. But because of this, no one can actually just throw you immediately after a 2P or a 2K or when you get up. So this will... Oh wow, that won't work either. Oh, you can't special cancel into it, huh? Okay. Okay, so if you do this too quickly, he can't actually grab you. So they have to leave a pretty large gap, a sizable gap, to actually throw you out of block stun or when you're getting up or out of hit stun. Wild throw is pretty fast. It's 4 frame startup. It's quite fast. But because of this restriction, you could take advantage of the system and defend against multiple things at once. So the input is 1, so like down back, up back at FD, and then 1 again in quick succession. And if you do it right, in the example here, I'll use a specific recording. I'll use recording 2. So actually I'll use recording 1 first. So in recording 1, this is what happens. I do it on wake up. Because you have to remember too, when you jump, as soon as you jump, even during your jump startup frames, you cannot be thrown also. So in example 1, I just do it, and so it will be me blocking for a little bit, then jump, and I switch immediately back to down back. So in the first example, I just jump into a punish. In example number 2, he does a tick throw, so here... Oh, that was pretty tough. Okay, I got through. Okay, if you look at my inputs, look at the top left of the screen where many of his inputs are. So you can see that I went from down back to jumping into FD and back to down back. That was all during that 2P, that low 2P that I guarded. So I blocked that, and then he puts... Oh, this is too fast though. He puts me back. He puts me back, and then I did it again. So if you look at my inputs that time, down back, jump, FD, back down, but then I did it again because... So, a common question, and I'm sure someone will ask this question tonight, is how many times can I do this? How many times should I do fuzzy jump? There's no answer. The answer is anytime you think you might be thrown, it might be a good time to do it. So that second recording is specifically like oh, it looks like he might throw me on wake up. He didn't. I guarded. But I saw he did 2P, which is like a tick throw setup, so I did it again. And then you might be thinking, okay, that's fine, but what if he does something to stop your jump, like doing 2P sweep, and that's what the third example, the third recording is for. Because you're returning it down back, you should be able to, in that time, confirm what kind of string he is doing. So here I'm doing the input anyway, but because I'm only doing it one time there, because I'm still stuck in block stun, I'm safe against the sweep, which is a low. Now on his side, it's not like he can't hit you out of this. He's actually very good at doing this. If I wanted to do it, I would do something like... Hold on. Whoops, I forgot to do the robot. Whoops. Okay, so, what happened here? Okay, what happened here? So what's happening here? This is an example of Soul doing... This is a little bit more advanced, but it's also very common for Soul to do this kind of thing. Some of Soul's frame traps also double as anti-fuzzy jump. Like I would say anti-fuzzy jump, just keep it simple. So, in this kind of string, there's usually two things that can happen. One is this. The other is he just hits you out of your jump startup. In the case of Milia and most characters have 3-frame jumps. So they have 3 frames to hit you out of your jump. But even if they catch you FDing, it's not bad for Soul if you think about it. And I know a lot of Souls who, once, let's say like more beginner, intermediate Souls who, usually let's say we'll have a talk after and they're like, man, I felt like I couldn't command grab you, so I didn't feel like I could open you up. What should I do? And I'm like, oh, you should try doing stuff to beat fuzzy jump. But usually they'll come back and say, I'm trying to beat it, but I'm catching you doing FD, like, I'm not hitting you, this kind of sucks. But Soul gets advantage from this. When you FD moves in the air, you actually have more block stun. Guard works differently in the air than on the ground, so he actually puts you in more block stun, and because it's FD, you use a ton of meter just for FDing a move, so it's not actually bad for this to happen. This is not the best result, but it's far from a bad result. So once it gets to this kind of point, it turns into a different type of guessing game. And you see this all the time in Soul Pressure. But this is like a core key part is you should learn how to fuzzy jump Soul so that he takes you to this place. Because if not, then they really can kind of just wild out on you, and you don't want that to happen. Okay, that was good. Now we're gonna switch it up a bit. There's one last part. Okay, looks like I probably only need about like 10 more minutes, I think. So I'll switch it. This is I mean, the easiest way I can explain this is with Milia, but good old everything Milia, good old Milia. So we just talked about what to do when Soul's rushing you down. So of course we're gonna wrap it up with what happens when you rush him down? What do you have to worry about? What kind of defensive options does he have? So Soul actually has a really good defensive option set. It's definitely one of the better ones in the game. I mean, system mechanic stuff aside, even once this turns into 5 frames, this is it has to be the best, right now it is definitely the best throw option select in the game. you're wondering. Of course, he has DP. This DP is amazing. Sweep actually legitimately pretty good on defense. If you remember, he's low profile starting frame 4, and it's 7 frame startup. So you will see this a lot from him on defense. This doesn't come up a lot. It depends on the matchup, but he's got that. Just peace out. Peace out, Girl Scout. He's got a lot of stuff. Even him using air throw as a reversal is good because it's his fucking jump H. So dealing with this stuff, it's a character specific thing, but it helps if you understand that he has these tools. When I say defensive stuff aside, it's like I mean system mechanics aside, it's like, you know, he has blitz, like gold burst, like all the normal stuff. DP is special to talk about because it's 5 frames, so you can't easily do YRC option selects to this move because the YRCs are 6 frame startup. And it's also a little unique that, so the hitbox is really big. So there are situations where, let's say I do that. So that looks like a bad situation, and it is a bad situation, to be honest. You're getting hit by Secret Garden, not much you could do, you're kind of just locked down here. But Soul with 50, especially when he has 50 meter, but not just, he can, because of like how far the move travels and stuff, he can aim for either just hitting you or trying to catch you and RC, like. And be safe. So that's something you want to keep in mind. If you're the type that has something, let's say, Amelia is a good example of showing this. I don't know if other characters have this, but let's say I'm baiting the DP. I'm like, man, this guy likes DPing. I'm fucking just wait here for him to DP. Yeah, they might sit there, but they can like do something else. For example, you see this a lot in the Amelia matchup, and you have to counter it. It's like a guessing game. His sweep is good in general though, because like, I don't know, say I do that, he can easily, not only is he just fast, but just goes under. Right, same thing here. So you usually have to do something to beat that. The same goes for, let's say, tick throwing him. So let's say I wanted to. Or he throws you, like, it kind of sucks. So usually you want to do stuff to like counter what he likes to do. He just happens to have more defensive options than other characters. So for example, I went back to the 2D thing, so I won't explain what that string is and why it's so good, but usually what ends up happening is I have to do something like that to counter it. But that would lose to something else and blah blah blah. So let's say like Soul does instead, then because I'm doing that, he does that instead. Then I have to do like that instead. It's a, oh whoops, it's this. Oh yeah, it's this. Yeah, right? It's that string. Actually, it's this string. There you go. Whoa, I got dead angle. What? There we go. Yeah. This also happens if he's mashing DP, and if he's mashing DP, you just want to keep him in block stun. You don't want him to. Let's say this could happen and this sucks. Right? You don't want that. You don't want that. You want him to be in block stun. Depending on when he's trying to DP, since he has to be away from down back, you can hit him. So like any other character, you have to do stuff to counter their defense. But it's sort of just a guessing game. Of course you could like mitigate it and blah blah blah, but it's just something to keep in mind. Or actually all that stuff is stuff to keep in mind. he's kind of wild, but you can mitigate / call out everything for high returns. Different characters will be able to do different things, but just keep in mind his defensive spread between this, and just normal character stuff. Okay. That oh, if you can't match 2D on Milia a lot. I will warn you right now. I will blow that shit up really bad. Just saying. But any questions? Any questions? That is the end. You know what's funny about Fruit Punch's case? It's probably just because like I never let him do it before. Actually, you should do it. You just shouldn't do it to me that much because I target that. 6K is really good for that, and so is just like 2K and 2S. But other Milias, you should do it. This is an aside. Well, I'm taking questions. This is a minor aside, but when it comes to Milia, you should do whatever it takes. Like you should do whatever it takes. She has to target your stuff in a very specific way, but if she does it, it's really good. Okay, I will take any questions now. Do you have any tips on answering IAD jump H to falling JK? So it kind of depends. If you have a character that has an anti-air that's just outright good enough, then you can just do that. You can just anti-air. So like someone like Faust or a Raven can just hit him. If you don't, and I'll use Millie as an example just because she can't really do that well. You usually have to make a decision between try to anti-air, like eyeball it, or reposition. So in Milia's case, running under him is super good when he air dashes at you because he can't really do anything about that. The cross-up hitbox on Jump K is not big enough to deal with somebody running under him and anti-airing him from behind. If you're Kai, you should be able to just anti-air, to be honest. Kai 6P is like a top level 6P. He has a really good anti-air. If it's bothering you that much, you should try running under, or backing off. Best things to practice in Milia's neutral. That's not the scope of this stream, so I won't talk about that much. I just want to talk about Soul. If he's jumping around to avoid your Milia 2D footsies, do you prefer to meet him in the air or no? No, I'll stay on the ground. I would stay on the ground. You have to consider, if we're talking specifically about Milia, you have to consider that Milia on the ground is infinitely faster than Soul in the air. What can Elfelt do against Jump Heavy Slash? I don't know about Elfelt. I would say go back and see what I said about Jump H. Jump H has a bunch of flaws you can take advantage of. Primarily the hurt box on the sides. He has a hurt box on the side. Elfelt, I mean, close slash should work, but you won't always get that, you know, so... but I'm not an Elfelt player, so I can't actually tell you specifically what to do. I can just tell you what like, properties of Jump H, and you can try to see if you can apply that for your character.